This is Jamie Steinberg with Starry Constellation Magazine. Dan, this is another incredibly funny series for you. Was there something about Harvey or even working with this exceptional cast that made you want to be a part of a series?
Well, you nailed it. I have to say, the first thing I was told was there's this really neat show. It's a remake of a British show. We're going to put our own spin on it, blah, blah, blah. And then your wife would be Michaela Watkins. And I said, well, I'm in. And they said, well, do you want? I said, I don't care. If Michaela's doing it, I'll do it because I think she hung the moon and stars. I think she has got great taste when it comes to projects. And I felt like if it's good enough for Michaela, then it's probably too good for me. I'll do it.
Certainly, it's a great follow-up to Life in Pieces, which was a wonderful series for you as well. And you have such comedic talents that I think that this role is sort of perfect, that you played like you play so greatly off of Michaela's character as these
Yeah.
quirky parents. How much of was on the page when it came to those exceptional moments? I think like you have these incredible like quips, that these one-liners that just like make your character just exceptionally like that dad that everybody has. Those, it's not dad jokes, you guys, you just have these one liners that I think are just so funny.
Well, it's humbling to think people think I came up with any of that. Most of this is scripted. We played around within the limits, not limits, but within the parameters of the script, but not a lot of improvisation. What it really was the scripts were written so perfectly for the actors themselves that casting did their job and put the right people in the right place. And so there isn't a lot of room between me and Harvey. There isn't a lot of room between Jane and the real Michaela. So it kind of comes naturally. And then you fill the room with these other brilliant people, with Daniel Thrasher and Henry Hall and John Glazer. And come on, Carol Kane. I mean, we're all better in a room with a person like Carol Kane. You just get better sitting in a room with a person like that. So we all got to bond a lot because we were all away from home. We all live in the States and we were shooting in England. So we got to know one another, and that makes it easier to play.
We talked about the cast being super funny. I can only imagine trying to keep a straight face through these incredibly funny scenes. Certainly you're old hat at this though, but at the same time there's got to be things that strike you funny in the moment and you just can't keep it together. Were there specific scenes that you can remember were hard to keep it
Oh
together?
yeah, I don't remember which episode it is, but Grandma gets drunk basically, and she's sitting at the table drunk, and then Carol. I won't say she's method. It's not like she stayed in it in between takes, but she would show little hints of it in between takes, so that when the take comes back and she goes, "Wait a minute, what are you saying?" We would. I put my hand in my pocket and actually pinch my leg because the actual pain keeps me from giggling. Otherwise, I'm ruining the take. So I think that was one. There was other ones where there was one where I'm sweating profusely and dealing with severe abdominal distress, and I kept going like I was burping, and I was just doing it quietly in the background until I noticed that the people in front of me were giggling, and I go, "Oh, I see. I'm making them laugh." So there are a lot of great moments like that where when you see the camera guy doing this, trying to keep one eye open and the camera shaking, you know you're doing your job right.
I think that's what's going to make this series so special as well. I have to ask you, you spent so much time together though on set. Did you spend much time together off set after filming?
We were on set all the time. I mean, Michaela and the boys and I, and to a larger extent, too, Carol, were there 5 days a week for 4 months. So we didn't have a lot of off camera time. When I had time off, I went to the pinball hall. There's a really couple of great game rooms in London that had a bunch of pinball machines. I love pinball. And that's where I spent most of my time off. I know John Glazer got a bicycle and was biking. Henry had friends who lived there. Daniel Thrasher was constantly working because he has a YouTube channel. So he was constantly creating content. And Michaela, I believe, also had friends, and her husband came into town. So, we all had lives outside. And sometimes you go, I'll see you guys on Monday. I'm going to go be by myself for a couple of days.
Yeah, sometimes it's harder to shake off a day of filming, but this series is just outstandingly
Oh, thank you.
funny. And I really think it's going to be a fast fan favorite comedic series because there's a heart, there's humor, and everyone sort of relates to one character, if not that entire quirky family.
Yeah.
Uh, I have, I have to say, were you always just comedically gifted, or is this something you've worked at over the years?
I don't know that well, I it did do a lot of work. When I got to Chicago and started working in improvisation, I was working at Improv Olympic, and then I worked at the Second City, so I did sketch and improv on a stage that was hallowed ground. I mean, this is the place that Joan Rivers and Alan Alda and Tina Fey and Tim Meadows. I mean, it's kind of unbelievable the people that have come through there, as well as 90% of the first SNL cast. But as a kid, I was the youngest of seven. And so my older brother, Tom, was very funny. And I tried to emulate him. And then once he was out of the house, I was the only funny kid left. And then I got a few more reps.
I mentioned to John, the creator, that this is the series that gives you laugh tears, where you're crying so hard. You just, because it's just so funny. There's heart, there's humor, there's a little bit of everything we talked about. Is that what you think is going to make it such a fast fan favorite series? Not just the outstanding cast that you're a part of.
Well, from your lips to, 3.5 billion people's ears, I hope. I I I believe that when it's a good comedies have that heart in them. We can have a ridiculous farcical comedy that never has any grounding, and that could work too. I think Monty Python's a great example of it's funny and just funny. But when you bring heart into it, I think it makes it more relatable on that human level, and then it also gives you a reason to laugh because you need that release, that pressure release valve pulled.
Truly, it's one standout for you. You must be exceptionally proud of the work you've done on this show
I
because I think
really
it's going to be one that people are talking about and really pushing.
thank you so much, Jamie.